Welcome back to the Football Tragics, or as we're going to call it today, and last episode, the Tony and Morty show. So, Morty, it's another 9 o'clock late start for the podcast, but it is bucketing down in Sydney, so there's not much else we can do right now. How have you been?
Been all right. Enjoyed the storm. Enjoyed the drive home in the hail conditions, but Sydney weather can't get much better.
All right, well, before we jump into, obviously, we are here for Matchday 26 preview. Before we jump into that, I am going to let you talk about this morning's game. Inter 0, Liverpool 2. It is a big game, big result for Liverpool. I don't see him conceding 3 goals at Anfield, so I'm going to say they're through to the next round. But what were your thoughts on the game? And obviously, you're buzzing about that result.
Look, I was surprised at that first half. I mean, look, I can't say Inter played good football. They just played a perfect counter to our football style, and they were making it work. But from the chances they were trying to create, like they had one shot come off under the crossbar, but every other time they're just playing offside, and like nothing was going through for them. So they can compete playing that to their best they're going to get, but I didn't see them troubling us. Maybe they might have got one. They didn't, but in the end, Bobby opened it up. I don't know how he actually finished that. He hasn't got it about 12 weeks and pulls that out of his ass. And then Salah, the bloke can't stop scoring, so continues on.
Well, obviously, massive result. Are you comfortable to say that you're through to the next stage? Are you calling it? You're not going to cop 3 goals at Anfield?
Highly doubtful. I mean, we've got enough centre-backs just to park the bus, and not that we would, but just, whatever it is, hold out, lose 1-0, we're still through, so I think we're good.
Okay, obviously, all right, we'll move past that game. Liverpool probably was that expected result. We're going to talk about the other game this morning. You had a few choice words that you wanted to throw into the inbox this morning that obviously Dean wasn't too happy about. He wasn't a big fan of what you had to say, but Salzburg, in their first knockout game in the Champions League, a 1-1 draw against Bayern Munich. Now, this is a massive result. Obviously, we all expected to go back to the Allianz and Bayern Munich to absolutely destroy them at the Allianz, but this is a huge result, and they can take a lot of confidence out of holding this team to a 1-1 draw and only conceding in the 90th minute. So what were your thoughts on that, Morty?
Look, well, props to them that they won. I can't say they won. They drew. But Bayern had about 55 chances, 55 clean-cut goals, and they just somehow managed to miss the mark, or just a few centimetres different. That game could end up 5-1. But props to them. They held strong. I mean, they almost even went up again to 2-0. Their chances are, they've taken their chance or whatever they've got. 1-1 draw. Props to them. Good on them, because all it's going to do is just put some doubts on Bayern for the rest of it. If they go through, good on them. But if Bayern, go back to the Allianz and do what they do, I don't know, whoever they come up against next, probably, City will draw them because they'll be the easiest ones of the bunch going through. And they might
Is that before or after United go through? Is that because City, you don't think City are going to draw United after we beat Atletico, or you don't think United are going past Atletico?
I completely forgot you two were bloody in it. You both, I can't stand either of you. Just maybe for Suarez's sake, he goes through and cops are hiding in the next round, but
all right, are we going to repeat what you said in the inbox about Mr. Lewandowski, or are we just going to let that one slide and move into the Premier League action?
That's just there to wind Dean up.
All right.
Just winding up.
All right, we will one more game before we do jump into that. What are your thoughts on tomorrow's morning's game? Obviously, in that Europa League, you do have powerhouses, I guess you could say, of the past, Barcelona versus Napoli. Do you think Barcelona are back to their winning ways and this is a tournament that they're really going to go for, or do you think Napoli will have enough to knock them out? I know you hate Serie A teams, so I think I know where you're swaying, but we'll see.
I don't know, because Barca have looked better and worse at the same time, because they haven't even won convincingly yet. They've won a few more games, but I'd say their football kind of, I don't know, not looking worse, but it's not looking, beatable. Like, you just read, they do the exact same thing for 90 minutes. They don't even change it up. So don't know. I couldn't tell you how this is going either way.
I mean, I'm going to lean more towards that Barcelona. I do watch a bit of Serie A football. It is my heritage, I guess you could say. So I think they're going to have too much pace, Barcelona, to outpace that Napoli defense. And I mean, they've got Traore, they've got Aubameyang, they've got Dembele. Who else do you need? So I'm going to go 2-1 Barca.
1-1 draw.
1-1 draw, the Morty special. But we will jump into, obviously, the Premier League. It's what we're all here for. Matchday 26. It is up on the screen. We have West Ham taking on Newcastle, Arsenal taking on Brentford, Brighton taking on Burnley, Liverpool taking on Norwich in what could be a very, very, very ugly game for Norwich. Southampton versus Everton, Villa versus Watford, Palace versus Chelsea. The biggest game, arguably, of the week, Manchester City versus Tottenham, Leeds United versus Manchester United, and Wolves versus Leicester City. So we'll jump straight into it, Morty. We're going to go with the first game. Get your thoughts on it. West Ham versus Newcastle.
You've won a game. Did you not want to mention that?
You know what? It's the preview show. We played shit. We'll take the result, but I don't know if we should even talk about how poor we were. I mean, if you want to bring it up, you can give us the win. I was going to slide past it, but
I was just happy to sit there and say we could both eat our words about Ronaldo changing it up, doing something for once.
You know what? We will talk about that. I'll take that off the screen. We did sit here last pod and say Ronaldo's not that player. It's going to go and beat 2, 3, 4 players and put the ball in the back of the net, and he skips past 2 or 3 players and puts the ball in the back of the net. So we both ate our words, but again, I don't think there's much more to say than we got the 3 points, but the performance was terrible. I don't know if there's anything you want to add to that.
No, I'm happy with that. That's fine.
All right. Well, we'll move into, like I said, West Ham, Newcastle. Obviously, big development in the Europa League. West Ham don't have to play in this round that's currently on. They automatically get that qualification into the next round due to coming first in their group. So you can't have the camper. They can't back up after Europe. But what's your thoughts here with this match?
I'd say West Ham probably take this away. I think they've looked a little shaky. They haven't had the results go their way most of the time. But as you said, up until yesterday's win, United managed to lose and were still in that top 4 race, and West Ham were allowing that. I think this is the game where they've got to turn it around and get some more points on the board because, yeah, you've got teams back firing. You've got Chelsea back playing games. They've had basically a week off in the Prem. They're going to need some points and they need to stay in that top 4 race. And, yeah, no European football, no excuses this weekend for them.
And what was your score prediction for that one, Morty?
I'm going to go 2-0 West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, like you said, this is a big game for West Ham. Obviously, United now, even on games, are 2 points ahead of them. They have Arsenal breathing down their necks. They've got Wolves breathing down their necks, and they've got Tottenham breathing down their necks with games in hand. So if they don't win this game, they could see themselves fall as low as 8th, 9th place once this all catches up. So must-win game for West Ham. I think Newcastle are going to miss Trippier. And I'm going to go Mikel Antonio double, and they're going to win 2-0. So I think we're both happy with that one. We'll pull up Campo's results. I'm not sure what he was smoking with some of these results. You'll see as we get through, but he has gone West Ham 3-0. So it's West Ham all round. And I'm sure Aaron would have jumped on the same thing, but we'll move into the next game. Arsenal versus Brentford. Take it away, Morty.
This is one of those games where Arsenal fall over themselves. I think that they've put in those hard performances that they've done. They've pushed through, thinking up against Brentford, and you can see this ending 1-1. Like, just one of those games I feel like they're going to stumble because they have that top 4 in sight. They're in prime position to take that win, go ahead, and yeah, see them stumbling. Another 1-1 draw. They go up early and maybe Ivan Toney in the late 70, 80 minutes going through.
Well, I don't know if this is purely because it is a top 4 battle for his team, but Campo has gone for the 2-1 Brentford win. He's gone for the upset. I think that might be a bit more. He wants Tottenham to close ground on him, but it was actually interesting. We were talking in our United inbox for the United podcast, and it came up how, we're sitting in 4th, but Arsenal and Tottenham have games in hand. And I don't know about you, Morty, but I think there's 2 teams in this competition I'd love to have them have games on hand. And I think it's those two because, like you said, they're going to stumble over their own feet. They're going to drop points, and United are probably sitting comfortably with points on the board rather than having to chase points. So I'm going to try and be unbiased because it is a top 14, but I am leaning towards an Arsenal 2-1 win. I think they will have enough to get past Brentford. They're good defensively, but I just don't think they're going to offer too much in attack. Brentford, they might jag one on the counter attack, but I just see Arsenal putting this away early and then kind of sitting back comfortably. So we'll see how it goes, but we will move into an absolute cracker, Morty. I don't know what you're watching, what time you're watching this game, but it's definitely going to be a game you want to watch live. It's Burnley versus Brighton. Surely this is only going one way, and I'm putting in a Brighton 3-0, but do you see it going any other way?
No, I won't watch the game. I won't watch the highlights. There won't be highlights. 0-0 draw. Shithousery. Burnley will go, oh yeah, we need one more point. They forget their bottom, and they could win their 2 games and still win the relegation zone. So this game will be quickly forgotten in my mind.
All right. Well, it's actually interesting that you say that. Now, this is where the results start to go. What's going on with Campo, and has he been drinking tonight? He's gone Burnley 1-0. So
he's in love with Weghorst. And he's shite.
I don't know what it is, but he seems to be terribly in love with him. And you know what? It would be funny for them to win just to put pressure on those teams in that bottom 4, bottom 5 teams. But yeah, like I said, I think Brighton win it comfortably, and I think we move on to what arguably could be the highest scoring game of the round. If I hadn't used my wild card in fantasy, I'd probably be chucking that triple captain on Salah. But Morty, what are your thoughts on this game?
Funny you mention that because this is the week I'm doing it. I've seen Campo's prediction. I'm not going to go that extreme. I'm not going to go that extreme by 1 goal.
I don't even think, before we even talk, did you just say you're not going to go that extreme and say 5-0?
Yeah, because I know what Campo's is. I'll refrain myself from that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I've used my wild card. I probably stuffed up a bit there. I thought that I was able to use my wild card and one of those chips, but obviously I can only use my wild card. So I do expect Salah to score a few goals. I am hoping he gets rested to score over everyone that does use that triple captain. But
yeah,
Campo's gone 6-0. You've gone 5-0. I'll lock in 4-0, and we'll just give Aaron 3-0 and say that's what he predicted, and we'll call it a clean sweep. And
I'll just add on. Sorry, yeah, Diaz first goal. You'll be scoring this game.
I hope so because he is in my draft. So I'll take that.
I didn't realise you snagged him. I thought I already had 3 pool players. I didn't bother.
Obviously, with Leeds coming up in a couple of days, you do have that catch up. Obviously, when I say a couple of days, it is getting played next Thursday. Do you see rotation in this game, or do you see rotation in Leeds, or do you think that you guys are going to just go on out there? Obviously, given you did play this morning, is this the game where Salah gets a rest, or a Mane, or a Bobby, or is it the Leeds game where you give him that rest?
Well, coming out of it, I think Jota rolled his ankle in the Champions League this morning. He's yet to have scans. He'll probably have them our time in the next few hours, so we'll wait and see how that's going to go. But Bobby's been well rested. He hasn't played much football over the past time anyway. And Diaz has come across. He's pretty much fresh. He hasn't, other than playing for Colombia, I think he played once for them. He hasn't played much football either. I think Mane probably sits this one out on the note that he's playing against Leeds, and Salah probably comes in back his hat trick and might sit out for the last 20 minutes for Minamino or something just to make sure he's fresh for the next game after that.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how they do it. I mean, I'm always for like you just said, get your best team on possible, finish the result and bring them on. But obviously, we do see that some managers do opt to maybe bring a Salah on with 25 minutes to go, let him get a few minutes under his legs and keep him fresh. But it'll be interesting. But nonetheless, it's going to be a Liverpool walkover. If you're under 18, don't watch this game because it's not recommended what's going to happen in this game. But we'll leave that there. We'll move on to the other side. Your neighbours, Southampton taking on Everton. Is there a game that you hate more than these two teams going against each other right now? I know you don't like Everton. You're not the biggest fan of Southampton.
I'm going to have to give him credit for 3 weeks in a row, and it's going to shit me because I have to give someone else credit in a few fucking games too. But Southampton, do your thing, please. Put Lampard back to the sword. His 3-0 was a fraud. I go 2-1 Southampton.
2-1,
With a compulsory 60th minute lie down from some player to get their gels in. Have you seen that?
It was an interesting stat. The last few, or what is it? Was it the last 10 games or something? Someone's gone down injured in the.
Out of their 24 games they've played, 15 of them had a player go down there between 60 and 70 minutes.
You know what? If it works and you're pulling results, I've got no problem with it. I mean, it's absolute genius if that's what Ralph's gone out and gone, hey, this whatever they're putting in these gels are going to help him get the win. Fair play to him. But obviously, again, Campo, he's gone 2-1 Everton. He doesn't want to give credit to Southampton. I don't think he ever will, but I don't know. I think this is going to be a cracking game. This could arguably be one of the most entertaining games of the round purely because Southampton aren't going to back out. We've seen Everton under Lampard. They're going to go all out. You've got Donny running that midfield, and this is probably one of the games that I'm going to tune into that's not my own game. So I'm going to go 2-2. I think it's going to be a 2-2 draw. They'll both be happy with a point. They'll both be content with a point at this stage. And, I mean, for bloody
Lampard.
Southampton, it's a great result. And then, obviously, for Lampard, it's another point safe from relegation. And I think at this stage of the season, I think he'll take that with the other teams obviously playing some big games and dropping points. So, fingers crossed it's a cracking game, but we'll probably sit here and we'll go a 0 or draw and we'll say how shit and boring it was, and you won't have to give credit to anyone. So happy days for you.
Yeah,
but
hopefully.
We'll move on. Now I'm on Gerard. This is why I said Gerard. I was reading the next fixture. It is Aston Villa versus Watford. I hope Aston Villa go out there and I hope they absolutely steamroll them. Like I've said, not a fan of Watford since they got rid of Ranieri, and I'm going to go 4-0 Villa. I think Coutinho is going to do too much, and he's just going to overpower him.
Yeah, exactly the same thoughts. I cannot stand the fact that Watford have now on their third manager this season, and none of them have done any better than the other one. I don't have much hope for them going forward. They're going straight back down. And yeah, the only reason that they're slightly entertaining is because they're cycling GK, and he's been injured for the past 6 weeks. So, yeah, Villa 4-0 after that poor performance last one out.
So you've gone 4. Okay, he's agreed with us here. Campo has gone 2-0. I don't have an explanation. I feel like he just doesn't like Lampard. He prefers Gerrard. No, I'm saying he doesn't like Lampard and he prefers Gerrard. It's the only explanation because obviously he's loving these legends at the moment. So it's Aaron. Aaron's probably going to go 2-2. I'll sit on the fence. Who knows? But Morty, do you think if Watford go down, so let's just say hypothetically they go down to the Championship, do they get rid of their manager? Will they be paying a fourth manager while they're still paying the ones they've just got rid of?
Well, Hodgson came out of retirement, so I don't actually know if he's even signed on for a full year or if he just signed that 6 month to get through to the next season. So who knows?
Surely if they drop into that relegation really badly and like it's looking quite dim, you just get rid of him and you bring in Big Sam. Like he'll get the job done.
But I don't know what they do because you can't keep Hodgson on if he keeps him up. What are you gonna do? Pay him next season? I don't think you want him there next season. I don't think he wants to be there either. So shambles.
It'll be interesting. Like we said, I think we're both in agreement. We want them gone. They can go with Norwich. They can go with Burnley, and we'll call it a happy year and tidy it up and send them down to the Championship. But we'll move on to a team that can be hot, can be cold, but this could go for both teams. It's Crystal Palace versus Chelsea, and I don't know. I see Chelsea steamrolling this game. I don't think there's enough from Palace to see them put up much of a fight, but I'm going to go Chelsea 3-1, and it's not going to get much better for Vieira and Palace.
Well, I think it's the first game we're going to disagree on. I think Palace will get it over them. This is the non-biased approach. They haven't played Premier League football in almost 2 weeks now. They've played football, but they've played at a different standard, and they didn't even play very well. They were scrapping goals. They weren't even walking off the park. Lukaku looked like he was. I don't know. I don't know what they're going to do with him, because 100 mil on that is looking like one of the worst decisions of it all.
Mate, that's looking like a worse signing than Lukaku to United. Not Lukaku, Maguire to United, if I'm being honest. At least Maguire's kept a few clean sheets.
No,
since he's run.
No, I can't say that. No, because they haven't made Lukaku club captain. They just signed him, and they at least pull him into line. Maguire seems to just do what he wants and still gets away with it.
Yeah, but it's like a comedy relief. Like, we get so depressed with the football. At least we have someone to pin it on when Maguire stuffs up, and everyone else kind of just gets let go for a little bit. But what's your prediction, Morty? Because obviously Campo has gone a 4-0 Chelsea. So what's your prediction?
I'm going to go 2-1 Palace.
2-1 Palace. Okay, so that's obviously, it does open up that, I guess you could say, that third place race. I mean, United will be, if they win their game, only one game behind them if that is the result, and they will be 1 point behind them. So that could put Chelsea back in that top 4 race, dropping out, but we'll see what happens. But we will move on to obviously the most, I don't even know if I can call it entertaining, because we might see a team just park the bus, but probably the most looked forward to game this weekend by a neutral fan, Manchester City taking on Tottenham. We'll start with Campo's prediction, because we'll just get that out of the way, because it's not going to happen. But he has gone Spurs 1-0. It's something along the lines of, we're going to park the bus, we're going to face 750 shots, and Harry Kane's going to score a goal. That's probably his prediction. Morty, do you see this going the same way as Campo, or do you see this blowing in Manchester City's favour?
See, I have my hope prediction, and my hope prediction is that Campo's right. But I feel like it could, if I'm going with that theory, I think Tottenham win 2-1. I just don't see them holding out City for that long, but I feel like Son gets a quick break, they'll finish it, and Kane, I don't know, maybe out of spite to them not signing him to win a trophy, that he gets a goal or a goal and assist this game.
You know what they say when you get your hope up, Morty? You get let down, and that's what Tottenham love to do. So you're going to get let down by the end of this week.
Yeah, but imagine the DVDs they'd sell by beating City twice in 1 year. Like, that's winning the Champions League to them. You just know there'll be a montage somewhere.
Do you reckon if they beat City twice and they made a DVD, they would sell more copies of that or more copies of our road to the final? Which one do you reckon they're going to make more money off?
Purely who? Oh, I don't know. Which manager you put on the front of it?
All right. So we've got your hopeful prediction. It's Tottenham 2-1. What's your head saying? Not your heart. What's your head saying?
My head is sitting here saying City 2-1. I see both teams are scoring. I'll go with that. I don't know what's going to happen after that.
All right. Well, I mean, after watching them versus Wolves, there is no way in the world I can give Tottenham credit here. There's no way I can even go close to giving them a tip here. So I'm going to go City 3-0. I think we saw what they did in the Champions League. A lot of teams would have got that first or second and kind of backed off a little bit. They're at that stage now where they know they need to be ruthless no matter what competition it is. And they will be looking to get as many points in the league to hold Liverpool off while they make this run in the Champions League. So I'm going to go City 3-0. I don't think Tottenham are going to score, and it might be biased because, again, they are one of our top 4 race contenders, but I really hope City smashing them, and it wouldn't be upsetting if Kane and Son would get injured or not want to play under contract. That would be great for the rest of the year, but we'll move into my boys. Now, as a fan that you probably hate both teams more, you have to agree that these Leeds versus Manchester United games probably have been some of the most entertaining football you've seen in the last couple of years, but it's more so there's no defense. So it's attack, and who can find the goal? You're going to have Zidane, Zidane, McTominay in the midfield because this is the game he shows up for. How do you see this one going?
This is when the Leeds United look like frauds and somehow were bagging goals at the start of the season and making us put our hope in that they could do something this season. and they've gone on to be shite the rest of it. And the complete opposite happened for United. I knew they were shite, and they're still shite.
Can't argue against that at the moment, if I'm being honest.
As shocking as I can sit here and say Maguire is, I can't see James scoring against him. I feel like Rafinha, he's been missing for a while. He might bag one, and United somehow scrap one. I wouldn't surprise me if Maguire scores, just because.
Behave yourself.
Mate, that slabhead can rise about that. There's no real defence at Leeds, so he'll probably fancy his chances. And I'm going to sit here and say 1-1.
All you have to do when you play against United is, if you're under pressure in the back line, kick it out for a corner, because we ain't scoring from a corner and your problem solved. Like, it's absolutely embarrassing how many times we have height in the box in Maguire, Varane, McTominay to an extent.
Ronaldo.
Can't fucking score out. Yeah, but Ronaldo's getting a bit old. He doesn't like the jumpers match. And I'm going to say that in the hope that he does what he did this week and he scores that headed goal off a corner. But are we going to go my prediction first, or are we going to go Campo's prediction?
Which one's the least drunk?
Well, I don't know, because Campo's prediction, I think he just kind of looked at the last few games and gone, yeah, I'll chuck it in. United 5-2. That is Campo's prediction. I mean, in saying that, we do laugh, but we have seen that United do score goals against Leeds. So the 5 goals to United probably isn't crazily out there, especially because...
That's more goals that you've scored in the past 5 matches, let alone scoring a 1.
But it's
Leeds.
The
last time there was 5 goals scored in a United game, it was 5-0, and he didn't score a goal.
Yeah. But that's in a couple of weeks. We've got a week or two before, or maybe a week before we have to live that one down, a couple of weeks, whatever it is. But I think we are going to score goals. I'm not going to go as far as 5-2. I'm not going to go as far as to give us a clean sheet, because I do not have faith in Maguire in the back line. Obviously, Varane was out. Lindelof played due to his sickness in warm-up. So who knows who that back line's going to be. But you know what? If I had $50 on me right now and I could slip it on a bet, I'd put it on Maguire starting at centre-back. So I'm going to go Leeds 1, Manchester United 4. I'm not going to go 5. I'm going to go 4. I think Sancho scores. Ronaldo scores again. He's starting to get back in that Champions League football. Champions League football's back. Ronaldo's coming back. It's what he does. So 4-1, and we're going to take a lot of momentum into, obviously, that Atletico Madrid away leg on Thursday. So happy days. But if we can beat Leeds, at least I'll go into that Champions League with a bit of hope. If we lose to Leeds, I'm probably not going to watch that Champions League game. So moving on to the last game of the season, last game of the round, I'm having a shocker tonight. It is Wolves versus Leicester. Morty, you hate Rodgers. You want him out. Wolves are starting to find form. I'll ask you the first question. If they don't make Europa League, Conference League, or Champions League, is Rodgers gone?
Yes. Look, from what he did at Liverpool and what he did at Celtic, and he's really good at getting a good roster together and getting them playing okay. But it's as soon as you give him the opportunity to play good football, he falls off. As soon as it puts some expectation, he falls apart. And it's happening again at Leicester. Like, he's built that squad. He's arguably done really well to get them back to from what they had, and lost Kante, lost Mahrez. They hadn't signed much in replacement. They lost a lot of players to retirement, and arguably they're on paper. They look good, but again, he just can't get them firing because there's expectation there. And I can't see that changing this game, because Wolves, arguably one of the best defensive teams this season, because it's bloody impossible to break them down, as we've all seen. And their goalkeeper is putting a shout in for goalkeeper of the season if it wasn't for a certain Chelsea stopper. So I'm going to go Wolves.
Hold on. You're going to chuck a Chelsea stopper in there, but you're not going to put De Gea. We would be in relegation if he wasn't in the back of them.
I understand that, but at least this one has clean sheets to back it up. De Gea, at the end of the day, yes, he can play really well, But we're going to go back and look at the
hold on,
scores
hold
and
on,
go,
hold on, hold on. If you look at a keeper at the end of the year and you have, let's say an Allison. Let's use Allison, and he's got 10 clean sheets. You then look at a De Gea, and he's got, say, 2. Let's say 2. He's got more than that, but let's say 2. Yet De Gea is facing 600 shots and saving 550 of them, and Allison's facing 10. Surely that goes in favour of De Gea. Like, and you know what? Those numbers aren't very exaggerated because I reckon he's faced about 600 shots this year already. So surely that's going to take a part into it.
partly, but it doesn't. It's like saying, yeah, the striker hasn't got any goals, but he got 40 assists. You all hate on Firmino for that, but it's what happens. So
No, we hate on Firmino because he's like that loose link, and I think anyone that's not a Liverpool, even Liverpool fans, would argue. I think it's time for him to kind of step aside and let Jota play in that position. But
we
that's
did,
just
and then
me.
Bobby came on for him and scored. So
Well, there you go. Bring him off the bench.
Back to the game. I think 1-0 Wolves. Defensively, way too strong. Leicester haven't looked great, and they've got some rumbling troubles at Leicester.
So would you say, obviously we spoke about, obviously you said Rodgers, he brings his team together. He makes a really good roster and then he kind of gets that expectation and he falls away. Do you think if this roster gets taken over by, I'm not going to throw a name out there because I don't know who a big manager is that would come in and take over, but let's say a manager like Klopp comes in, for example, and took over this team. Is it a title-winning team or does it still take a couple of years and a few signings?
It takes a few signings, but Leicester are arguably in that position to make that signing because Vardy's on his way to retirement. I think he's, 32, 33? He still do a job for him as a backup striker, but probably they're missing that one more key signing that, like...
35.
Is it 35? Yeah.
35.
They're missing, like, they've got Daka, they've got Tielemans, they've got the good players coming there. They're just missing that one star player that can take some of the heat off because arguably Leicester are getting found out by just, man marking Tielemans out of the game or putting their focus on Daka. Like, they don't have enough star power in that squad to really start taking it to the big boys because it doesn't work out for them.
And you said 1-0 Wolves? Was that what you had said?
1-0 Wolves, yeah.
So it's taken the whole round, but you and Campo are finally in agreement. He has gone 1-0 Wolves. I'm not sure what his prediction is. I feel like if I would have told him that that's what you were picking, he would have gone against it. But I'm going to round it out. I'm going to go Wolves. I'm going to go 2-0 just to be a little bit different. I was going to go 1-0, but seeing you both put 1-0, it's never a good sign when we all pick the same score. So I am going to go Wolves 2-0. That's going to wrap us up. Morty, have you got anything else to add? Anything you want to talk about? If you want to slag on Maguire, I'll give you a minute or two if that's really what you want to do. But
I'm just excited for the next week of football. We've got some interesting Champions League matches that I forgot they were even in them. And yeah, it's a good weekend of football.
Well, I will ask you, obviously, we did speak about it before, West Ham. Do you think that is a good change that the people at top their group in that Europa League no longer have to play in the round of 32 and they automatically put into that next round when it comes in?
I think it is on the fact that the teams that arguably fall out of the Champions League to go into Europa don't take away from the fact that these teams have actually been performing well. I think it's only a luxury that these teams get put in there because it's probably more for the revenue that if you're already in the Champions League, you're going to bring some revenue back to play in Europa. So I'd be more in argument that maybe they shouldn't be able to just fall into the Europa League. I think they just, once you're out, and you go through like that. But I think it's probably, if we can leave that as it is, then it's good to see that, give them a break and just put them straight through.
I guess I did just get a message from my mate. I guess we should talk about it. The Conference League is a UEFA Champions League, whatever you want to call it. So we're going to give it some importance. Leicester City will take on Randers tomorrow. I believe I got that right, Morty. They'd be silly not to rotate their squad. I mean, I know who I'm going for in this competition. I'd almost argue you're going to go for the same one. Surely we want Celtic to take this out for Big Ange, the big Australian, come in, take out that title. Are you going for Leicester? Do you think Celtic can do them if they do eventually meet, or do you think Leicester kind of just throw this competition?
It's saying something when you've got a star Aussie playing for Midtjylland and they're in this league. So Leicester should be doing something in this league, and I have hope. But again, you saw how quickly they bottled Europa and it fell out of that like a sack of potatoes. So
Like, you look at the teams that are in there. Obviously, you've just mentioned one. You've then got Fenerbahce, PSV, Leicester, and Celtic, and the rest you kind of just go, oh boy. Like, how did Tottenham go
Marseille is
into?
there. They're not too bad.
Yeah, they're on the floor, but how does Tottenham go into the last game needing to win here? Like like look at the teams that are there, and Tottenham are sitting there going, oh yeah, we forfeited the last game. That's why we're not playing.
But
You
not only
shit, you're
that,
terrible.
they were bottom. They got done 3-0 the last time they played. Oh, wow, that was the game that they forfeited. But even before that, they lost.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We'll wrap it up there. It is heading into 35 minutes. We have been the Football Tragedy, so we will be back early next week with a review show and a preview of the catch-up games to come. But Morty, thank you again for joining me. It is almost 10 o'clock again. Enjoy your good night's sleep, and hopefully this rain goes away and we have some good weather tomorrow.
Yeah, sounds good. See you, mate.
See you later.